Welcome back to the Daily Dose with Des. This is Thursday night throwdown. We have people getting fired, and it was brought on himself. You have former players getting arrested. Deion Sanders is getting to the bag, of course, after just announcing that he was cancer free. You have Claressa Shields and her drama, and I have a really different outtake on a few things there that I'm going to really dive into, plus more. All this is going to be happening tonight. So if you're interested and you really want to see what's going down, make sure you stay around right after this. Welcome back to the Daily Dose with Des. Admit it. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it loud. Got you feeling so proud. This is how we do it now. Daily Dose with Des. Got you coming back for more. All right, so we're back. So I be trying to like get it right at the time. Like once you see it, Daily Dose of Des, it comes, I have to like immediately click off of it because it doesn't just like go on its own. So just the streaming service that I'm using, but it doesn't matter. We're here. Boom. So I wanted to start this show out talking about a topic that I don't really, a sport that I don't really talk about much, and that is boxing. I need to get more into it and get more involved. But I do have a very different outlook on a lot of things that's going around, especially with Claressa Shields and everything that's going on there. So I wanted to start off the show with that because why not? We're going to just hop right on into it. You hear me? Okay, so let me bring her picture up there. I don't even think I brought her picture up there, y'all. Boom. Hey, Claressa girl. So Claressa Shields recently defended her undefeated or undisputed heavyweight title. So she now has the title, is doing a thing. You saw the belts that came behind. And she is this topic is so complex because at one point you have, okay, she's a GOAT, rightfully so. As I said before, two-time Olympic gold medalist. So many different fights, right? Her stats. I didn't write them down because I talked about her stats in a previous post, so you can go and try to find those if you want to, right? Or you can just look it up for yourself, right? So she rightfully is a GOAT, right? But she is in this relationship with Papoose, and honestly, I don't like the relationship with Papoose because I just feel like it's the wrong move for her. I feel like she needs to be with somebody that's going to elevate her a little bit. The same way I feel about a couple of the other rap girlies that come with athletes and they're like, that's the wrong one. But this is reverse. She's an athlete, a world-renowned athlete, and she's with Papoose. And it sucks because a lot of people came into knowing her due to the drama with Papoose and Remy. But unfortunately, for those who don't even know, she's been popping. She's been winning. She's been her. Like, how did you watch the last Olympics and you didn't even know that she brought home the Olympic? Okay, it's cool. But she has been able to make a name for herself being from Detroit and being taken advantage of by her coaches and things like that. So she's come a very, very long way and she's done a lot for boxing. There's a whole generation of boxers who are going to look up to her, and I'm going to talk about that in just quite a second. But I feel like Papoose was just the wrong person anyway because he's still married and Remy had her thing with him and the bills and the money and the stealing and things like that. So I completely understand where that hate is coming from. And like low key, people acting like they liked Remy Ma, and like, when did that come up? Y'all liked it, the union. Y'all liked it, what y'all thought was a perception of Black love, as you should love Black love. But sometimes I feel like we act like we know these people sometimes in real life, and we can say what is going on and what's not. We don't really know what's going on. They know. I mean, Remy did put out some things, but you got one side, two side, three side, the Lord side. It's so many different sides. So people liked it, the facade of. Did I say that right? I think so. People liked it because it was Black love, and that's understandable, right? Because I was like, I love Black love and hyping up the couples and things like that too. It's like you need to advocate for that, right? But we also don't know what else has been going on outside of we knowing that low key he might be a bum. He might not be the guy that we thought he was. We thought he was the help holding Remy down and da da da. Like that's what we thought who he was. And unfortunately, he's not quite that person. So now he's kind of leeching on to Claressa because he likes boxing. He's into that. He's into her. And there's been drama around that with him having other women outside of Claressa. And, Remy, put out that, she was asking him to call her and figuring out where he was and things like that. So I feel like this relationship here is not a great one. And I feel like she can do much better. But in that instance, she has to know that she is worthy of better in order to get better, right? I always want the girlies to do just a smidget better, the same way I want myself to do better, right? But she has to be able to tell herself she's worthy of better than what she's already receiving. And for me, it really rubbed me the wrong way when she made a post about him, thanking him and saying how great of a man he was to her. And then in reverse with his post, it seemed to really like just like politically correct. I didn't like the fact that he tried to take kind of credit about what she's been doing and how she's had great success since he stepped in and been doing things administratively and things. And that could be true. He could have helped put on the fights and things like that. But bro, you ain't gotta say all that. Right? Don't make her seem like she wasn't a winner before you know. Because in reality, if you know, she's been that girl. Right? Okay. She needs to kind of work on like her presentation of things and all that, but she's still very young. She still has a long way to go. And if all she knows is boxing, we kind of got to give I hate the fact that we don't give enough grace. If you don't like somebody, and I get it, you don't like somebody, you tear them and rip them for shreds. But I thought it was protect black women. What happened to that? Until it's a black woman that you don't like, and then there's other women just tearing her apart, ripping her apart, and which is bringing me into the beef with her and Layla Ali, right? Because I had to figure out what was actually going on here. I seen some interviews, I read some articles because I had to make sure I understood what was going on. And I feel like they both are right and they both are wrong in their own way, right? So I wrote some notes because I got to make sure I talk and I don't want to go on a rant, Um, you know, you know, let me see. Um, okay, boom. So, looking at the interviews and looking at like the different posts and the podcasts and all that stuff, right? Layla Ali talks about how she was at one point mentoring Claressa and how she, spoke about what she was doing at the Olympics and how she called her fight at the Olympics or called her match at the Olympics and how she was, taking her under, her wing and things like, mentoring or all of those things. Yes, Claressa was obviously a fan. Like, let's not be dense here. She was a fan, right? We know that. Layla Ali doesn't have to necessarily be a fan of hers, but the way that I perceived it, and again, perception is reality, so whatever. And again, these are my opinions. The way that I perceived it was Layla Ali was taking her kind of under her wing and try to mold her into being a better boxer, a better woman, da 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 da. And then there was a podcast where Layla Ali was talking about, there's nobody that inspires her enough to want to come out of retirement, right? And at that point, that's where Claressa felt like she was a little slighted, jaded, or whatever. I think jaded is the wrong word, but she was a little slighted in that way. And she felt as though, well, you see what I'm doing and how great I've been and where I've come and all that other stuff, and you don't feel like I could maybe inspire you to give you a challenge to come out of retirement. Now, was she right in that? I have no say in that. I'm not, whatever. I'm just saying what I'm getting that happened from it. And then I think that Claressa took it a little too far when talking about what she's done, where she has gone and things, and just like bragging about what she's doing against Layla Ali's. And that's where Layla Ali felt slighted and disrespected in that sense. So that's where this beef whole thing came from, right? So I can understand it in that sense of where Clarissa was like, well, let's just box it out then, because it's just like battle rap. If you're a battle rapper and you are going neck and neck and toe to toe with someone, then the way that you kind of do it is if you make a diss record, they make a diss record. Like you get in the booth and you handle that way. Right. So I think that's where she was trying to come from. But of course, it came off more as like being a little disrespectful, being a little bit too forward. Like you need to go ahead and settle it down. But on the counter side, Layla Ali was on, podcasts talking about she gonna knock her out and all these other stuff. So it's like feeding into, whatever is going on. And here is where I think it could have been, where it could have been turned around. I think that, and of course, Layla Ali does not have to do any of these things, right? And she did, right? That's why we still here. I felt as though once she did the interview, and this is also what Claressa could have done if she was a little bit more mature. She could have reached out and say, "Hey, I didn't really, I felt a little slight or whatever when you didn't mention me at all." And that's not trying to be like on a narcissistic thing, but like if you don't feel inspired by anybody boxing, at that point, that was the time for Claressa to say what she had to say and see where she can get better to become an inspiration for her if that's what she really was going after, right? And I feel like Layla Ali, they could have had this off camera behind, don't do it on the camera. Could have, told her what it was and just been honest with her and whatever. Because if that's supposed to be your mentee or somebody that you built a relationship with, why can't we not have the conversation off the camera? Why can't we, settle this off the camera? But to keep doing the back and forth and feeding into it, it's like I just expect so much more out of Layla Ali because she is a great as well. And this drama here is not good for the sport of boxing, especially in the women's standpoint, right? So I just felt like it could have been handled a little differently from both parties. Both parties are right to feel how they feel, and both parties are wrong for going about it the way that they did. Right. And of course, now Clarissa was like, well, she said she wanted 15 to 20 mil. I got the 15 mil. So why we have to do the fight, do. And I think if you just take a step back and just realize, like, okay, this woman you were a fan of, you wanted her to be your mentor and all these other things, you shouldn't be trying to get in the ring and fight with her at this point right now. You need to try to reconcile that relationship. And I think, I don't know if it's, beyond repair, but I feel like being adults, especially at least for this, it just kind of feels like one. And then Lid Ali was, I seen a interview too where she was talking about, well, she doesn't feel like she's that great. She doesn't feel like, in terms of Claressa Shields, she doesn't feel like that. It's like, okay, but you can't keep taking shots at somebody, and then when they shoot back, then it's just going to be a continuous cycle. Like we have to figure out, what are we actually getting at? What are we actually doing? How are we going about this? Like there has to be something in between that just stops it, because like y'all are too grown for this. Get it together. Like for real. Like just get it together. Um and I mean, I this is how I feel. I feel like it didn't have to go that way. I feel like the Olympics comment, you know, was that gave a little bit of bitter auntie. Like you ain't had to say that auntie. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you felt, it's cool, right? Because at the end of the day, if she say something back and it's just as disrespectful, if not more disrespectful, now she's looking at and being placed as the one that's the disrespectful one, instead of it just not having to happen anyway. Right. So neither one of them are innocent in this, because they both keep adding fuel to the fire, and it's just like it's unnecessary at this point. And I've racked on about it long enough, but it's just, these are my opinions, and I'm looking at like, wow, these two women could be doing so many and so much great things for boxing together as a unified front, because let's be honest, we don't see that many Black women in boxing who are both excellent and great in their own ways. We don't need to see them fight. We need to see them putting on together and doing it together. But I mean, that's probably too much to hope for. I don't know. But, I just feel like there's room for everybody. And why not do it that way? Why not, be about it in a more positive light? Because if you guys had this relationship at one point, then I don't see why I can't go back. And for the people that's just like, well, no, like it's just that blaming it all on Claressa, is like you're that's really dense. And at some point, you need to think outside the box, have some critical thinking. And at the end of the day, they both can be right and they both can be wrong. Just like you say, two things can be true at once. This is one of those situations. They both are wrong in their own way. They both are right in their own way. So I just hope that at some point they figure it out and get it together, because they definitely don't need to be at this point doing all this. I want to see better for this sport. I want to see better for them. And I think Claressa needs to get a new man. And I think she needs to get a better stylist. Her dress wasn't horrific. It looks better in the video, but I feel like because she has a more masculine, I would say not even masculine, because she has a more toned body. She's, you know, she's more toned and stockier, and obviously she needs to be that way. She's a boxer, right? That she just needs to find things that flatter her figure just a little bit more. I think maybe reaching out to like whoever used to dress Serena Williams and things like that. Like, I think she kind of needs to go in that route because she has so much potential, but I just think that she just missing the mark a little bit. And it's always something when it comes to her and doing whatever she's doing. But I do wish her the best. Obviously, I like her, and I will always give credit where credit is due because that's what you're supposed to do, because I'm not a hater in the end of the day in the retrospect. So yeah. But enough about that, because I've been on it long enough. So we're going to move right along to talk about more women's sports. I'm front loading it today. We're going to talk about the WNBA game when it was the Atlanta Dream versus the Golden State Valkyries, right? So at the end of the game, about like a minute or so into the game, there is a neon colored X toy, because I don't even think I can say it over here, um, thrown onto the court. Hello, what are we doing? What are we doing? This reminds me of when Brittany Griner did a interview, and she was saying how she goes when they go into certain arenas, they don't feel safe. When they go into certain arenas, the fans are doing, you know, the most outrageous things, or they're saying things, or, you know, you have this sense of like not feeling safe, right? And a lot of people like ragged on her. It was like, you know, Brittany, you're essentially like, you're more masculine. You're supposed to be the male in your relationship, your marriage, what it looks like. But that is beside the point. Why are we doing, like, why do we do that? If she says that she doesn't feel safe, then she doesn't feel safe. And other players are feeling the same way, as she mentioned in the interview. Didn't come from me. This is what she said in the interview. So I'm going to say all allegedly, right? They allegedly don't feel safe when they go into certain arenas. And then to have this happen, it's like, yo, come, come on. What are we doing? How did they even get that into the arena? That's what I want to know. Where, what is the bag policy? Was it in the pants? Like, how did you get this into the arena is really the thing. And why would you do something like that at the end of the day? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, what was the purpose? What was it slated toward? What was it for? Like, why? It just, why? I think that the WNBA really kind of needs to look into, there's a bug in here. I think that they really need to look into maybe heightened security at certain arenas and things, because that's just unacceptable. And no, I wasn't gonna bring no picture over here, nothing like that. They did put it on the internet. I wasn't gonna put it over here because I didn't want to. I don't want to put it over here. I didn't want to do it. I don't want to. Not too much. Not too much. Okay, but we really need to figure out what in the world is going on and why is this happening, and how can you make the safety of your players, you know, amplified so that way they don't go on podcasts and they don't do interviews where they're talking about how they don't feel safe. I think that needs to be something that is studied and took in account for. Yeah. Moving on though, before I start my NFL content, I do want to talk a little bit, just a little bit, about the NYC um, uh, casualties. I don't want to say the words because I feel like certain things I don't get censored too much over here. But there was an incident in New York City, and that left 4 people dead. And it was alleged and is being stated that the guy who did this crime was allegedly going to the NFL headquarters office, and he took the wrong elevator. And then today it comes out, right? It comes out that he purchased the weapon and the car from his supervisor back in Las Vegas. So I'm gonna read this a little bit of this article here so you can get a context of what I'm saying. So it says a man who killed 4 people at the Manhattan building office brought the rifle he used in the attack and the car he drove across the country from his supervisor at a Las Vegas casino, said authorities. Right. Shane Tamora, 27, was the culprit here, right? So he was the person. He took the elevator to the 33rd floor, which is the wrong elevator, and he was just wrong, right? He was just wrong. So innocent people were attacked and harmed and lost their lives because this guy was just wrong all across the board, but also just took the wrong elevator. He really didn't know what he was doing or where he was going. So he was deranged at this point, right? So it says that in a note found on his body, the assailant the assailed said that the NFL's handling of concerns about chronic traumatic, brain disease disorders, traumas like CTE, they were failing to do it. They were failing to handle it properly, and he was just upset about it, right? And then it says that he was a former high school football player, and he claimed that himself had the CTE disease. So he's saying that I got it, and I'm upset about it. It kind of doesn't make sense to me because if you're saying like you got it from high school, then what did the NFL exactly have to do with that? Right? So I'm still just trying to understand that. Back in Las Vegas, they looked at his hotel, not his hotel, his apartment, and said that he found a different note with another troubled message saying that he may have been going back and forth with his parents. His parents may be disappointed in him. They found, medications and other things that he had been prescribed. And they're just trying to figure out, his movements, his mindsets, what actually took place for him to do it. But I wonder if his supervisor knew what he was going through and then still sold him the weapon. The supervisor legally obtained the AR-15 style rifle, right? And he sold it to him for $1,400, right? So did you know that he was going through something and you gave him this weapon? Like, did you know that did he tell you what the plan was? I really hope that's not the case here, but that's also that's really, really sad and kind of really, really sickening, because if you knew that he was going to do something, if you knew that he was in that state, one, why are you selling him the rifle? And two, why didn't you contact authorities and let them know that this was the plan that they had? Again, this is still kind of developing here. It said the police then identified the supervisor who has been forthcoming with them and hasn't been charged of any crimes. I'm going to say yes. I think they need to further investigate to really figure out what's going on, because this needs to really kind of be a thing where people are held accountable for their actions completely. So if you were a part of the action and a part of innocent people, being victimized, and I definitely think that you should suffer consequences as well. So I'm going to keep a hold on this story and really get more into it as I dive more into it. But I do want to, obviously give my condolences to those families. And obviously I can't just talk about sports without talking about one of the major headlines that's been taking over the sports world with this happening in New York City. So now we're going to move over to something else, because we're going to stop talking about that. Okay. We're going to talk about everybody's favorite person to talk about, Shedeur Sanders. Okay, let me move over here. Now, Shedeur Sanders is up here. Really, I'm not even gonna talk about it. I'm talking the man you see up here in this photo, which is the Cleveland Browns owner, right? He gets up. That's something very similar to what Jerry Jones did. He gets up and he talks about how, essentially Shedeur was not his pick. Shedeur was not the person that he wanted to take in day 3. Shedeur was not it. He didn't make the call. Somebody else made the call. And one instance, people were saying, oh, it's basically giving the man, his credit that he got Shedeur, but on the other instance, it kind of sounds like he wanted nothing to do with him. And now, the Cleveland Browns are going to trade one of their quarterbacks because they have a full quarterback room. I don't know how they thought it was going to work out anyway, but they're talking about they're going to trade to somebody. I don't fully know how that, draftee rookie contract thing works of being able to trade someone and let them go or whatever. But I do think it's just so weary that you get up on the stand in front of the media and you say these things for what though? Like, what is the reason here? What's the reason of even bringing it up? What is the reason of even saying it to what? Bring humiliation, to bring embarrassment, to let him know that you don't really want him there. Again, it does not make sense to me. Like, why are we why is it coming to this? Nobody had to know that. Nobody has. And y'all could have kept that between y'all. The media didn't have to know that. This young man is doing the best that he can on the team, trying to be a great teammate, trying to be good in the community. And realistically, the one reason that the Cleveland is even being talked about right now is because of Shedeur. Like, let's be honest. Nobody's searching and looking for the Cleveland Browns, but nobody was looking for the Cleveland Browns. Nobody was searching for them. Nobody. Shedeur came, boom. There. Now, I feel like every day, especially when I get on Twitter, every day I'm seeing at least 10 tweets about the Cleveland Browns. Jersey sales and things are going up. So, come on. Come on. Just unnecessary. If you wanted to stir the pot, you stirred it. Okay? You have stirred it enough. And I think that it was just tasteless. Like, guy, let the beef go. Try to just you know, who else do you feel this way about? That's what I really want to know. But talking about stirring it up. Child. Let me take a sip. I previously reported that y'all favorite uncle, Shannon Sharpe, right, settled his lawsuit. Many people were like, oh, it was a win, da 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 da. No, he settled the lawsuit. Not as fast as Diddy, right? But he settled it. It was confidential, it was very quiet. The number now that is floating around is $23 million. She was going for 50, so she got about half. All right? Still a lot of money. Still a lot of money. And after she got her money, she said, I'm retiring from OnlyFans. I'm out of here. I am out of here. I don't got to work another day in my life. Talking about, oh, I got new ventures coming on. Things like, girl, you better invest some of that money. But she is now living the life that she had wanted to live. And okay, all right. But today, ESPN decided that they were going to cut ties from him. Now, he stepped back when this first came out and said that he would just leave ESPN for a little while and that he would, he planned to come back once everything was, all handled and settled and, whatever the case may have been. At that point in time, he was saying, like, this is a shakedown. She just wants money from me. We did have a relationship, but it was consensual. Whatever she's saying that happened, didn't happen like that. It didn't happen like that. It happened, but not like that. So I'm gonna get this handled, right? And then you go and settle. And sometimes they say, well, when you're guilty, you settle. You don't want to go to that. But I also know that it's very expensive to go through court anyway. It's super duper expensive. So it could be either one of those things, right? He knew that what he did was wrong and wanted to like just get it over with because a lot of his things were suffering. He did lose some sponsorships. Apparently he has DraftKings back with the nightcap. So there's one thing at least that came back. And, being away from ESPN, that was his job, his bread and butter, really. Yes, he has the liquor and the clothing and things like that. But I feel like majority of that bread and butter was coming from ESPN and coming from his two podcasts. I forgot he had Club Shay Shay and Nightcap. So I feel like that also was a reason why he would just want to get it done and get it settled and get it out of the way so he can get back to business as usual. But there is no business as usual at ESPN for him anymore. ESPN was like, nah, dog, I think that this ain't gonna work. I do feel like maybe had he actually went to court and then the case may have gotten dismissed completely and there was no settlement, I think that ESPN probably would have welcomed him back. But ESPN gave him a slap on the wrist when he went on, and they say accidentally and allegedly on live doing this things on the live. They kind of looked past it and was like, you know what, okay, cool, it's a mistake, whatever. But now it's like this is coming in again. It's like they're not going to keep rewarding your bad behavior. So I feel like, or not bad behavior, the bad decision making. So I feel like they were just waiting for it and they were just waiting for the right time. But had he got that case dismissed at court, I think he would have been back. Had it went through the whole thing and they were like he's found not guilty or whatever. But because I think he settled, I think it kind of rubbed them also the wrong way and they probably was like, we're not dealing with it no more. So, if you were watching ESPN because of him, you might want to just go over and watch one of the podcasts and maybe somebody else is going to pick him up. I don't know. But as of right now, ESPN said there's a right time to say goodbye. They said, we're not being like Chris Brown. We got a reason to say goodbye. So you need to go and we need to go our separate ways, right? Moving on to another topic. I feel like I'm talking really fast. I'm just flying through these things because I wanted it to be a shorter show and I spent way too much time on the boxing stuff. And I feel like I missed some things that I wanted to say there, but I'll clarify it later on at some point. But moving on, Gilbert Arenas was arrested. He has now been released on bond, a $50,000 bond, but he was arrested because he had an illegal illegal gambling business. This is alleged to be happening between, I believe it's 2021 and 2022. I forgot the months. I had the months at the top and I lost them, right? But you know what I do got? I do got a piece of that statement here. Yeah. I got it, right? So it says that he was arrested Wednesday in connection with federal indictment. Federal, this is federal. Same state. It's not the state of California. Okay, the feds have entered the chat. Okay, the feds have entered. Okay. So this says that he was a host of illegal high stakes poker games in his mansion in California. He is officially charged with 1 count of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business, 1 count of operating an illegal gambling business, and 1 count of making false statements to federal investigators. Right? He appears in front of the U.S. District Court. He appeared on Wednesday afternoon at downtown Los Angeles, released on bond, and obviously he's going to plead not guilty to the charges. He will get in front of a judge in September 23rd. Yeah. Right. His attorney did the right thing. His attorney was outside. The media swarmed, and he was like, I haven't really talked to my client that much. I don't got nothing to say. I'm not giving y'all no ammunition. I'm not giving y'all no nothing. That was the right move from the attorney. So he might be all right. What is really kind of crazy in this whole thing was this right here. I don't know how to pronounce his actual name, but Evany or Evgeny Gloria Chow Gershman. Gershman is the only part I got. YG Gershman. That's what we're saying for now, right? You can look up the article. It is on ESPN. It says, is a suspected high-level member of an Israeli organized crime group. And 4 other associates were also indicted and arrested in connection with the alleged illegal business, which prosecutors say, here go the dates, between September 2021 and July 2022. Okay? So not only is you doing the illegal gambling and you're doing the poker games and stuff, you got somebody who's a part of an organized crime group. Gilbert, if you're not okay, blink twice. I don't know. Right? It's just saying that there's a whole lot of stuff going on in here. Right? A whole lot of things that is going on. And he's also not, it's not the first time that he got in trouble. Back in 2009, he brought the pew-pews into the locker room because there was a disagreement. What is we doing? What is we doing? Are you okay? But I think he is going to have his day in court. At least it's not behind bars. He got out. So there's that. But he needs to lay his head low. You better lay low. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And moving on to another part of the freaking sports world is exploding. The sports world is exploding because here we are. We have another man. Marcus Morris Sr. Also former NBA player. There has been alleged that he was supposed to be joining ESPN or one of the panels to talk sports and things, that he had, job offers waiting for him. And he had to go on and go to Las Vegas. First of all, I don't know why you chose Las Vegas. I don't know why you did that. Because if they don't get you right then, they're going to get you at some point. There's always eyes in the sky. If you didn't know that, you're best to know that. There's eyes in the skies everywhere, but it's really eyes in the skies at Vegas. Especially in those casinos, like where people are going to win big bucks. They win big and lose bigger. So there's that. But he is being alleged to have stolen $265,000 from casinos in Vegas. Why? 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 I can understand times are hard. I can understand. Right? He was arrested. He did get out. 2 days. He didn't have bond for 2 days, but he did get out. Right? So let's see. Also, got a little bit of article here, right? Not paying for it though. Okay. Now, Morris was arrested Sunday at the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport on felony fraud charges out of Nevada. You thought you was getting away, my guy. Records from the Las Vegas Township Justice Court indicated that warrants were issued earlier this year for Morris's arrest on the same two felony counts in each case, drawing or passing a check of $1,200 or more with the intent to defraud and theft valued at 100,000 or more. During a hearing Tuesday morning in Florida's Broward County, it was confirmed that the warrants for Morris's arrest in Nevada were over outstanding casino markers for more than $100,000 each. Of course, he was denied bail. Of course, he's going to say that he's not guilty, and they are going to do it that way. Right? And it says here a prosecuting attorney representing Florida indicated that he had been told that Nevada was willing to consider dismissing the warrants if Morris's debt was paid in full. The judge stated that if the warrants against him were dismissed, Morris would be released. An attorney representing Morris said that a large payment had already been sent via wire in the effort to resolve the issue. Morris is no longer listed on the Broward County's Office of inmate directory, so I mean he got out. And Las Vegas, they're saying that their records, they're saying they still got both those warrants active, right? But on Tuesday, a new court date has been set for August the 6th. So, and he wrote a long post and things like that and was trying to explain, but you can't, I mean, if they got the checks and things and they saw that what you were doing, hopefully they'll let it go if he paid in full. They said, pay us what you owe us. And you know what? You don't hear that too often where they're like, at least I haven't. We'll drop the charges if you pay us in full. We won't even pursue you. But the fact of the matter is, if you went back to Vegas after you knew that you was in trouble, I think that was crazy. That was a crazy and stupid decision on your part. You should not be nowhere near. Stay away. Stay away. And if you had the money to use it, maybe he didn't have the money then, but he got the money now. Right? I don't know. Hope he gets it resolved. I'm going to keep an eye out on this case. It's happening. It's going to happen next week. So I'm going to keep an eye on it to see what more information we get from it. Okay? But stay out of the casino, bro. Go get help. Go to Gamblers Anonymous. Get some help, man. Because that ain't it. No. That is not it at all. Man, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. He probably regretted it too. He probably regretted it to this point. Like, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have did that. Anyway, we're going to end the show with, ta-da, the bag keeps on getting the bigger bag. So after, head coach Prime comes out and says that he is cancer-free and kind of does a hard launch with Carucci, it has now been stated that depends. I keep saying depends. It's not an S on that. Depend. It's a pen. It's a pen. Okay. Sorry, y'all. That Depend has now sponsored him because, he can't, like I said before, he can't control his bladder. And he said he's going to put a porta potty out there on the field. So if you see one, I told you it was going to be a nice, glamorous one. I still think it's going to be one out there. And they was like, you know what? We want to help you out. We love you. We value you that much. We know that this could be, only you can make the pen pop. Make it litty. So we're going to sponsor you and we're going to give you, he's probably going to have boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes just in his house, like to the ceiling. Will he wear them though? That is the question that I want to know. Will he wear them? I mean, why not? I mean, everybody going to know now. Everybody going to assume that he wearing them anyway. They're going to assume he wearing them anyway because this has came to the forefront. But what a way to make something that was very sad, traumatic, very painful and stressful, frustrating, like so many emotions, right, with him and on his family. And then you turn it into something that is monetized by like, yeah, I'm wearing the pen. So, you know what I mean? There might be other people that come out and like, yeah, I'm going to wear the pen too, man. Don't be out here just doing it. Don't just peeing on yourself, y'all. I mean, it's People wear them not because like they necessarily want to wear them. They have to wear them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, y'all. I think that was just super cool. I can't wait to see if he actually wears them or not. I mean, I don't think he's gonna tell us. But I can't wait to see just the marketing that comes from this whole thing because, like I said, the one thing that they are good at and good for is marketing, right? Him and his whole family. So I think that's going to be super duper cool. So I'm going to end the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, okay, for the Daily Dose with Des. If you like this content, you like my show, you want to come on the show, you want to be a part of the show, you want to see the show, whatever you want to do. If you're missing it, you can always rewatch it. It stays on YouTube. I don't take it down. They stay on YouTube at Pretty Girls Love Sports. And make sure you're liking, sharing, and subscribing on all social media platforms, all the other ones at PG Love Sports. If you want to support the girl, anything is better than nothing. And I appreciate it all. You can't really see my cash tag down there, but it's Pretty Girl Des B if you want to give to the cause. But anyway, thank you guys so much. I cannot wait to see you guys Saturday for brunch edition that is at 2 p.m. So make sure you're locked in and loaded. And I will see y'all on the next one. Bye. Yeah, yeah, yeah.